It is the day after election day. We are going to be diving into some incredible charts, some setups, $2 billion Bitcoin pump. What is going on? What are we in for? Is it about to rip? Is there a little bit of a consolidation? What are we looking at in these charts? We're going to be breaking all that down and more. We're going to be getting going here in just a couple minutes. We may be having a very special guest be popping on here as well. But as I am talking to you, what I'm also doing is delaying a second so I can get in here and do the retweet like all of you should be doing. Show some love over there on @KellyKellum or @BitLab Academy. Get this retweeted out to your friends and families. And we got some stuff to talk about today. We got some great charts. We have the most bullish setup finally realized in the history of crypto. What does that mean for where price may be going? All this and more. We're going to be diving in here in just a moment. So everybody, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell, get active in the live chat, share some love, share some prayers, share some gratitude, and let's talk about what's going on because we got to get into it. We got to let this music give us some vibes because golly, if this song isn't the perfect song for the moment, I don't know what is, and this is what it is right now.
Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. SEC and its policies rely on whatever Gary thinks. Bitcoin to flight to quality. I heard that from Larry Fink. Every hour losing purchasing power on food and shelter. It's not our fault. Blame the cult. It's the political cowards. When it comes to gas, our purchasing power just got cut in half. I sit back and laugh, open my bag, fill it with stacks and sats. Bitcoin pumping, altcoins pumping. I've been preparing for this. Can't tell me nothing.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality. We are hearing from clients around the world.
Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as
Bitcoin, pump, altcoin, pump.
We are hearing from clients around the world.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a
Can't
flight
nobody
to
tell me
quality.
nothing. Bitcoin, pump.
We are hearing from clients around the world.
The question is, are you ready for the rest of your life? What are you doing about it right now? Because we have the best opportunity in the history of the world. Welcome to the show, everybody. We're about to hop in here. Throw a 1 in chat if you are live. Roll call. I want to see everybody flying with some bull emojis if you're a BitLab member. If you're not a member, what are you doing? Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's go. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. I'm doing it from my house today. I got the lion here because we've all got these lion hearts. And I don't mean lying, I mean lion. Like we are about to go after it. Why? Because we have the best opportunity in the history of crypto based on what just happened last night. Regardless, remember, take politics out of it. I don't want to say I don't care. It's not upsetting to me if you're on one side or the other. We shouldn't fight with each other. We should come together. But when you're looking at this from an investor standpoint, from somebody that's navigating these markets, this is the best outcome that could have come in terms of the economic impact of what we're doing specifically here in crypto. So when we're talking about what's going on, we're talking about what direction sentiment is predicting sentiment's going to go. Now, everybody's overhyped right now. There's a lot of hype. And the question is it overhyped? Is it underhyped? Is the market about to just, melt all the way up in November? Are we going to get a little bit of a pullback? We got so much to talk about today. I'm a little tired. If you can't see it in my eyes, we did throw a 3 in chat. That way I can distinguish it from all those ones you guys just dropped. Throw a 3 in chat if you were involved at all in that live coverage that we did yesterday. I was on the basically guest hosted co-hosted on the Discover Crypto, and we did 10 and a half hours. I think it was 10 hours and 21 minutes live coverage. And I was there the entire time, and got home about almost 4 a.m. And then now woke up because we got stuff to do every day. This market does not sleep, and neither will we, because this market is going to pass so many people by. So we want to talk about it. I woke up this morning about 7 a.m. without an alarm either. I was like, wanted to sleep in a little bit. But I'm here, and we got to talk about what's going on because there's some beautiful things going on. If this is your first time here, welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. My name is Kelly. I'm going to be Kelly Kellum. I should tell you the whole name, right? But we're getting familiar here. You're here in my house. So let's talk about what's going on, man, because we're seeing some beautiful signs here in the charts. This is the 4-hour Bitcoin chart. And yesterday, this one candle, look at this one candle, open, high, low, close. This candle right here opened at $69,397 and closed at $74,000. That's basically a $5,000 move on a 4-hour candle. $5,000. And this happened before those results came in. Of course, it got more and more hype as data started coming in, and we started getting poll numbers, and we started seeing that there was quite a bit of an appetite early, that the momentum was carrying forward with that election decision, but carried over. Now we're sitting here kind of in a little bit of a bull flag setup, and we're going to be talking about the impacts of this here in a few minutes. What just happened. But look here at the BitLab trading stack, the potential reversal marked out right here on the same candle. We also had 3 bullish divergences right here. If you can see this right here, let me zoom in so my mouse goes over it. Put my mouse over that, it should pop up. Might not because the chart's so there we go. Bullish divergence on MACD, RSI, and the demand index right when we got this potential reversal signal here on the BitLab trading stack. And what do we get? Boom, started moving up. At the same time, this arrow right here, what am I pointing at? This arrow is pointing at the VWAP, the volume weighted average price moving average here on the BitLab Trend Fuel, both part of the BitLab trading stack. And this is where this crosses back over into positive territory, showing sort of a database inclination for the markets to try to play a positive spread. And this is exactly what we got. We push up, we find support. So you could have seen this as a signal, supporting signal, bullish divergences here, and the breakthrough and the retest right here as the confirming signal. That was a clear move right there. And then what do we get? The price action pushes up right up into this trend line. I have it very kind of light because I'm trying to make my charts a bit cleaner for y'all. But this is where we've seen from this point to the next point that it touches, projected out. This is essentially exactly where the price action went to. And this is right also where we had stopping volume, which is where you have a huge amount of volume coming in, a disproportionate amount of volume coming into this candle. The volume sort of rejects. There's a huge reduction in volume or a massive shift in volume. And this is also where we got the trend shift. And this is where the price action is just showing a little bit of consolidation, which makes sense. We just had, massive pump in the market, broke to new all-time highs. We're technically in price discovery right now. We broke into it last night, and we're kind of consolidating just below it right at these zones. But these are the levels that I'm watching. And yes, I am a bull. I am an absolute bull about what's to come. You cannot be a bull and make money in this market if you're not also looking to potential retrace levels. This is the initial retrace level right here, 73,682. And this is also relevant because this is where we rejected right here. And if you come all the way back over here, you can see this is also roughly where that previous all-time high range top was back here, March of this year, March 13th. So coming back over to where we're at right now, you can see price did break through this. We went into price discovery, but that does not mean to throw all of your strategy out of the window. In fact, it means you need to buckle up. You need to strap in. You need to make sure you have a plan and make sure that you are not messing yourself up in this market because it is about to get exciting. Falco with 5 gifted memberships. Shout out to you, my friend. You know what? How many people we got in the room? I'm going to give some. Can I gift memberships? I'm going to give some memberships as well. You know what? Let's go ahead and gift some memberships. Boom, right here. Membership milestone, membership gifting. Let's do 10 memberships. Boom. Shout out to everybody here. You have to be commenting and subscribe to the channel to get a membership. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'll give you 10 seconds, and I'm going to get you taken care of right now. We're going to gift out a bunch more memberships here to the BitLab YouTube channel. Big love to every single one of you. This market is getting excited, and thank you each and every single one of you for being here. I love you. I appreciate you. We are doing this together. Member for 12 months also on this day, Falco. Let's get it, baby. Well, let's talk about what is going on. And I do want to shout out our channel partners before we dive into a bunch of the data. Right below the stream, right here, you can see we got join our free traders group. We are printing money in there. This link is right there. It takes you to a link to a Telegram that gives you a link to sign up with us on CoinW. But then you also have, if you want to protect yourself, nordvpn.com/BitLab. And then, of course, if you want to protect yourself with the best crypto cold storage solution out there, that is Arculus. Head over to getarculus.com and use code LAB10 at checkout. So shout out to the channel partners. Let's dive into it. What a green day. There's not a red one on here, is there? This is looking good. Maybe this one right here, but I don't even know what that is. Die. Okay. But yeah, green day. Tau. Look at this. BitTents are up 14%. Room 15%. Lidao up 22, almost 23%. We're seeing, I think Aave, as big as it is, has such a legacy play in DeFi and a lot of sort of corporate interest, institutional interest. Ondo also looking good. And we can see that the crypto market cap is now breaking $2.5 trillion. And Jay-Z right here says, we are so back. Yes, we are. But I want to impress upon each and every one of you, being so back in this moment does not mean up only. Being so back in this moment does not mean that we don't need to pay attention to these targets that are below us. This is a target, primarily the most bullish target. What do I mean by that? This is a bullish move, and a necessary pullback is a regular and expected thing in the market. So having this just continue to push up, if this were to continue to push up, I'll be watching like a hawk, 75.5, 75.7, this zone right here. But if we get any sort of rounding out right here, which it looks like, see this large impulse, the price action bit bearish. Bulls tried to bring it back. Bulls tried to push up, brought it back down. Now we're getting these doji candles showing the lack of the bullish momentum follow through as it stands in this exact moment. Doesn't mean we can't have a pump from here. But what we're watching here is if this does get any sort of pulling back, essentially this area right here, if this pulled back to here, this would just be continuing a sort of bull flag here, which, by the way, if that were the case, shout out here, because that would suggest that a target out of this, let's see where the target out of this zone would be. I'll be a little conservative. Target would be up here above $80,000. But we can't look at a potential bull flag and say this is the target. We can say this is a potential bull flag, and this could potentially be the target if this does break out. But we do have this as a bit of a shortcut before there as essentially a target that front runs this zone. We need to pay attention to if we do get some sort of pullback. This is really where I'm looking for a potential pullback, not here, but actually getting some of the flush of liquidity, a little bit of a washout, because so many people are so excited and bullish right now, as you should be. But don't throw your strategy out of the window just because you're bullish. This is where we're looking, basically $72,000, which is this trend line right here, from here to this first touch point projected out. Yes, we had a deviation above, but you don't ignore that this is the trend line that could be projected out. And this essentially would be right in here, which is also right about where this previous wick came up into, and a lot of price action was in this zone. So you see this line right here. Let's go just like this. Let's make it a little bit brighter. Let's make it very bright so you can see it. So we have an intersection right here of this zone. That is this diagonal previous resistance that now can offer support. That's the intersection between this and then this high right here. So this is telling me that if this starts breaking down, I don't want you to go, guys, we're crashing. It's crashing. This is just suggesting, hey, the bulls took a huge swing. Let's flush out some super bullish people. Let's get some bears committed. Let's get them committed so that then there's more liquidity in the chart, so that this can reverse back to the upside. At the end of the day, let's actually go over to this chart right here. I have to go to the daily chart to see this because it's a BLX. This is a Bitcoin Liquid Index. And just remind ourselves what we're looking at. Let's go ahead and delete this line because that's irrelevant. Turn off the indicators. And what we're seeing is what? Previous halving. previous halving. This current halving we just had, we're about 198. I might be at 200 days now, but we've always had this consolidation. We've talked about this a lot. We have the move up. Oh my God! But then look at this. Notice right here, people go, "This is a move," and then they just lose commitment and they chop themselves out and they miss this move right here. This, I mean, I don't even want to measure it for you because it's going to blow your mind. That's a 33x from there to there, and people messed this up in this zone right there because they were being a little too ahead of themselves. We had 8 moves in this cycle on the way to the upside that were, look at this. I mean, how big is this move? This is about 32%. How big is this move to the downside? Let's look. 31%. Let's look at this one. This was a pretty big swing very quickly. Let me take the measuring tool from the top there to that wick. 35% or 33%. Again, right here. 27%. Okay. What about right here? 36%. Okay. What about right here? I mean, this was just chop city. And this was that move. This is roughly about when I got in the market right in here. So I thought I was the best trader alive because this was just up only. I took some small losses, but where I took my biggest losses was roughly about in this zone here because I didn't understand the 4-year cycle. I didn't understand. And maybe this will change, but as it stands right now, this repeating pattern has been the case all 3 cycles previously, and we're just kind of coming into the zone right now. And let's actually look at where we're at right now. Let's move this over and let's go to the daily. Let's measure from where this is right here. This is 162. And remember, I've been telling you, and this is proof. I've had this on the chart. Throw one in chat if you remember me posting this on the chart months ago. I was outlining roughly right about April 19th. I was watching for this date for the price activity to get exciting and start pushing to the upside. And look at this. We break down right into it and then push up into it, have a little chop within it, but this is trending up. And now we just broke 2 new all-time highs once we got out of that zone. This has basically been in the cards. We've been talking about it. We've been breaking this down here on BitLab Academy since the day of, so we're 201 days from the halving. We've been breaking this down since the halving occurred. I warned about the boring period that could be here, which we saw, and now we're pushing up and potentially, making that next move. Ethereum also making some strides theoretically. But you look at this on the daily chart. This is a nice pump. This daily candle, this right here is, let's see, open 24.22, close. We're still within that. We're still within it. So this could continue moving, but this is, where is it at? High 26.68. I'm looking right here. It tells you all the data. You can also just measure it if you want, but this is, about a 10% move on Ethereum. But look at what we see when we're looking at this. Exciting, but don't just throw risk aside. Don't throw strategy aside because this is exciting. But as it stands right now, look, this is coming into near, not quite there, but near the apex of this price structure, this basically pattern right in here. This is essentially a symmetrical triangle, which I would measure roughly from about right here. This is like an art form because everybody's going to do it a bit different. Let's do it conservatively. And so the target on this, and remember, there's 2 targets on symmetrical triangles. You have to measure up and down because these are somewhat neutral when you're looking at it just as a pattern. When you look at this in context of the Bitcoin and crypto market cycle, this does suggest that we're going to have some incredible things ahead. Now, everybody right now, we just had some incredible news yesterday, and I'll start it with this. We got our guest waiting in the wings. I'll be pulling him on in about 3 minutes. But I just want to remind you all, Bitcoin has never gone below the price action on Bitcoin from essentially that week of the halving ever again. Never came back to it. Never, look at this. Never came, even in the bear market when Bitcoin died, never came back to it. And this is, we got Joe Rogan here giving a little bit of consolation there to the losing fighter there. But this is where we're at right now. This is a story. And that's why I have an incredible guest I wanted to bring on this show because he's got over 30 years worth of insights in these markets. He is a developer in the crypto ecosystem. He's been in, global finance and investments, and he is the guy. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Dave. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay. I'm not going to lie. stayed up and watched the acceptance speech at 3 a.m. So I'm dragging a little bit this morning, just got off Crypto Town Hall. But I don't think that people in the industry truly appreciate what a difference a day makes. I really don't. And I'm not talking about all bullishness, although clearly there are many projects that are going to do well. But effectively, it is not hyperbolic to say that the way this campaign has gone and the way that Trump won with the popular vote, with picking up Bernie Moreno and potentially Mike Rogers and Sheehy and I'm missing somebody very important in the Senate, means that policy in the United States is going to tilt back the opposite direction towards innovators. And that matters. And that matters a lot. If there's one thing we know about America, it's when our innovators are unleashed, we win. Now, I know that sounds like a Trump talking point. I'm sorry. I mean, it is what it is. The internet proves it. I mean, it is not an accident that Apple, Google, Meta, etc., effectively built the internet of information. Well, now we want to build the internet of value. And that is going to transform financial markets and every other market. I don't care what market you're in, but you should expect that between stable coins and Bitcoin as a base layer and smart contracts, that the disintermediation wave will be epic. And the force multiplier of having open source projects being able to incentivize the people who work on it. And you and I have been in a couple spaces we've talked about, things like DPIN. I mean, the mainstream America has no idea what DPIN is. They think of crypto as dog coins and Bitcoin. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
And Dogcoin is, of course, going crazy because they're naming the Department of Governmental Efficiency Doge. Okay, cool. My thesis, which is not going to play out in days, but it's going to play out in years, is that creating value in the digital ecosystem among crypto assets is what's going to ultimately be rewarded. Now, you can create value by building a community, but if the people in the community can't monetize being in that community, then that's not going to do well ultimately. It may do well in the short run like Beanie Babies did and other things did, but memes are always the kind of thing that capture people's imaginations. But the truth is, creating economic value endures. So when you can monetize a community, you can do something. Now, keep in mind that the SEC had stonewalled that. In fact, their regulatory approach was such that basically, if you were building a meme, you were effectively forced to not provide economic value to the people who owned your token. Why? Because if you did, it would be relying on the efforts of others, which for those who don't know legal speak is the third prong of the Howey test, which is insane and is now gone. I mean, the Howey test is going to go the way of the dodo because there will be legislation, there will be executive action on a safe harbor. There will be a lot of things that are going to happen that are going to allow this ecosystem to develop. So I am ridiculously excited today on a variety of ways. Bitcoin deserves its own conversation. That is really an exercise in game theory. And, we've talked about this, and you and I have talked about this, that this cycle, if you look at the stats, I had a cycle high prediction of 240,000. And people thought I was nuts when I made it, but whatever. I've been pretty consistent. I still believe that's the case. It could overshoot. Now, where did I come up with that number? I came up with that number based on actual physical data that you may say is relevant. You may say it's bullshit. I don't really care. But if you look at the size of the network and all of the metrics around the Bitcoin network today compared to when it last was at slightly lower than these prices, the network is over 4 times bigger. And therefore, if you think that the 60,000 window was irrational exuberance, and we know humans are going to human, and therefore they're going to get irrational when it gets to the upside, that you would expect to get the same level of exuberance, that's 4 times 60 is 240,000, and that's it. And that's where I come up with that number. Very basic, very simple. If, on the other hand, Trump and his friend Milei in Argentina and others really do make progress towards Bitcoin as a store of value by a strategic reserve or a strategic stockpile or whatever, then all bets are off, because then the entire world's going to try to front run that trade. And we all know that digital gold, which would be the equivalency there, is over 15 times the current price. So I'm not saying we're getting there this cycle. I frankly would be surprised because markets don't work that way. I certainly am not surprised that we had the rally last night and it's kind of sitting there today. This was buy the rumor, hold the news. When's the last time you saw buy the rumor, hold the news result in a reversion? In 30 some odd years in the markets, I can't ever remember that happening. What is happening is asset allocators aren't following through yet because it takes time to make decisions. And the speculators are like, I got burned too many times pushing this thing up. And so people like you, and I've seen your videos and you've been right, and you've told people don't FOMO in at the top, because every time you've done FOMOing in at the top over the last 8 months, you've gotten your head handed to you, right?
Yeah.
And you've probably saved people fortune in what you've said. And that's good. That's great for you and it's great for your subscribers. But this is different. Buy the rumor, hold the news is not something that you've seen in the charts. And unfortunately, it's really hard to overlay fundamentals in charts. But this is one of those cases why good traders, I wouldn't call it I hate saying it's an art, not a science, because there is a science behind it, but understanding how to use both is what matters. And so that's the Bitcoin story. So I could go on. I mean, there's just so many implications of what happened, but keep in mind, the vice president of the United States is a Bitcoiner. The president of the United States family, son and sons are into DeFi. He has promised and understands this is like, his whole legacy is based on promises made, promises kept. And the only thing he cares about is his legacy. So to think that he won't follow through is just, not smart. It's like that's kind of that's really a big deal. The Senate just got rid of Elizabeth Warren's chief lieutenant in the anti-crypto army, Sherrod Brown. That's a big deal. Tim Scott is going to be the chair, who believes in crypto, is going to be the chair of Senate banking. These are all very big deals. And there are Democrats who did well. Kirsten Gillibrand did very well. Why? Well, lots of reasons, but she certainly didn't earn the antipathy of crypto by co-sponsoring bills with Cynthia Lummis. So, and even in the House, which is going to be razor thin, whoever wins, there are Democrats, Richie Torres and Ro Khanna, that are probably the next wave of Democrats, the ones who are trying to push the progressive ideals without being progressively stupid. I mean, Richie Torres had an awesome tweet out this morning where he basically said, helping people is great, but defunding the police, and he went on he just went on a total rant against the extreme left. Now, he's a progressive because he wants to help people, and where he believes equality of opportunity means is definitely different than I. But I respect where he's coming from. He's rational, he's smart, he's young, and he's pro-innovation. In short, he's pro-American. And that is the coalition that matters here. And so, yes, I mean, there are a lot of us who are excited today. This election wasn't all perfect, right? And I'm a little bit unhappy in Florida that 58% of the people, or 57.4% of the people passing the abortion amendment wasn't sufficient to get rid of the 6-week abortion ban down here. Hopefully, the fact that amendment got more votes than DeSantis did, than Trump did, will signal to the Republicans in the legislature and the governor that maybe they should moderate their stance a bit, or they're going to get trounced in the next election. And if someone wanted to recruit me to run as a pro-choice Republican or independent against someone who wants that on that issue, I would, because it is actually important. And it was important down here, and I was happy to vote for it. And I know that's definitely not something that makes me a mainline Republican, but I don't really care. The simple fact is I care about freedom. And so that's what won yesterday for the most part, but it's not perfect. The world is a better place today, but it's like everything else. It's not perfection.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack. I mean, we could go over everything from the last 2 years. I mean, this feels like the longest election campaign I've ever known in my life. And I think part of that is because I'm so much more focused on it, because I've cared before, but I also, my entire livelihood is very baked into this. But take the livelihood out of it, take money out of it. It's like this post I did this morning. I said, the Western world was saved. Why? Because I do think that the freedom of speech was kind of on the docket. It very much was so. Freedom, safety, all this issue. I moved from New York down here to Atlanta. I live in a suburb now. And it's like, every time I go back there, I'm like, I was complacent to it's just a different place in all these urban centers now. And it's not a person or a color, an immigrant. It's just the whole system was messed up. But prosperity now also, remember, a lot of the crime that people have issues with, it's not even because people are coming in. It's also because people are hurting and they don't have money. But now
That's right.
we're at this point right now where we can get back to work. And I feel like this, and we're seeing it. You just mentioned it a second ago. Excuse me. Regarding, like right here, Will Clemente said this morning, Bitcoin just broke all-time high. The Fed's cutting rates. We got the FOMC meeting today and tomorrow. Likely, I think it's like a 90+% chance we're going to get 25 basis points. Saylor just announced a $42 billion Bitcoin buy, for MicroStrategy. And, we have a strong cabinet. In addition to that, then we see today, I open this and not an hour later, after it shows $1 billion in the first 20 minutes of trading, 30 minutes later, I saw $2 billion in trading volume on iBit. The appetite is here. The fervor is here. The question is, how do we mitigate this to take advantage of it, baby?
Well, look, it's just starting. Anyone who remembers the internet bubble, now I'm an old guy. Okay, you see the gray in the beard. We got that. When the internet bubble happened, it went on for months and months and months. And it was not a God candle. It was 2%, 3%, 1%, a half a percent back, 0.25% back, 2%, 3%. And it was just consistent. It was money flowing in to the point where it got absurd. If you had a website, the prices of stocks went crazy, but it lasted a long time. It is absolutely reasonable to think that all the asset allocators out there that are at zero are going to get between 1% and 3% in Bitcoin. The ones that are between 1% and 3% that were early adopters are going to go 3 to 5% into Bitcoin. That companies who see what happened to the market cap of MicroStrategy are saying, what the hell am I doing with cash and cash? Why am I putting money into something that is going to devalue faster when I don't need to? So the companies that, if I have a choice of buying back my stock, leaving money in cash or money market funds, or buying Bitcoin, and you have all three of those options on the table for cash-rich companies, companies are not going to do 100% of any of those things. And they're going to start doing more and more, and the market's going to reward them for being prudent with treasury management in the future. For now, it's going to reward them because, hey, it gives them something else to want. These are all massive tailwinds. The game theory I talked about, if Trump does, if some version of that Loomis bill, which, by the way, there are Democrats who are working with her on the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve bill. Ro Khanna came out in favor of some of the part of it, from the Democratic side. If some version of that bill gets to Trump's desk, he'll sign it. We know that. And some version of that bill gets through the process and looks like it's going to win, then how many countries in the world, how many sovereign funds are going to say, wait a minute, I still need to be on zero? Of course not. It sets off a competitive game theory effect. None of this is priced in. And the possibility today of that happening is got to be 2 or 3 times the possibility it was yesterday. But don't expect the price to move 2 or 3 times in a day. I mean, there are people out there who think that'll happen. That's not the way markets work. You got traders out there. You got allocators out there. You have people who are going to take profits. There are people, I'm sure, were hanging on, waiting for Trump to win, and they're going to sell today for liquidity. They're not going to sell all of it, but they're going to sell, saying, Trump won, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to upgrade my bathroom. I'm going to do this. In my case, build an outdoor kitchen on my roof deck. It's like stuff like that. And by the way, no, I am not selling a single Satoshi to pay for anything. I just want that to be really clear. But these are how markets work. And everybody in crypto who's trained to think, I'm looking for the next 100x. Sure, there's going to be small cap 100x's. And sure, there's going to be things that drop to 99% because we've seen that. Bitcoin is maturing. It doesn't mean it can't go up dramatically, but I wouldn't expect the God candles. Now, they could happen. I mean, I wouldn't be horribly surprised if they did, but it's not the way markets that are evolving work. And so from a trader's perspective, you need to understand what are the other big effects. The big effect from this election, Bitcoin, yes, will be there. You need to be looking at things on the macro side. The one piece of cold water I'll do and is really simple. The long bond today, the 10-year, The yield is up almost 18 and a half basis points. That is a huge freaking move. It's basically undoing the 25 basis point cut that's expected for tomorrow, right? The yield curve is now flat as a pancake from 1 month through to 30 years. It's all within 20 basis points of each other. Actually, I lied. 5 years, it's at 30 basis points of each other. That's telling you the market is basically speaking and saying, all this stuff on the short end, there's risk of losing the long end of the curve. And that matters to the federal government, to budget deficits, et cetera. So we will see what happens with all financial assets. I mean, we will see how the razor-thin majority of either whichever party wins in the House plays into the ability to impose tariffs the way that Trump wants to. The only thing certain about this election is Trump won the Senate. The victories in the Senate mean that Trump will be able to get his appointees through, and his appointees this time are going to be very much in the let's disable the deep state, let's disable the regulatory structure, let's push innovation. That is locked. That's in the bag. What is not locked in the bag are any of the macro things and the tax policy, tariff policy, et cetera. I'm sure he'll get to be able to push it, but that's going to be a much harder slog. And so the markets are adopting a wait and see. And that, by the way, is why the index of all the stock indexes, the one that is up the most, at least was this morning, was the Russell. And the reason for that, and it's by a lot. So the Russell, which is the small cap index, is up 4.71% today. The S&P is up 2%. That is no accident. Why is it not an accident? Because deregulation matters. Regulation, Mark Yusko was on Scott Melker's show this morning, and he phrased it really well. So if Mark, if you happen to see this, no, I'm giving you credit. I often plagiarize you because you say so many smart things.
He's brilliant.
Yeah. What he said is, and he said it concisely, he said, regulation benefits the largest companies over the small. They use it to create regulatory moats. So when you deregulate, you free innovators, you free smaller companies. At the same time, getting rid of Lena Khan at the FTC means M&A is going to start to open up again. And you're going to see lots of changes in the capital structure. And so as traders, look for companies that are doing really good things that have been hamstrung by regulation that also become really, really tasty acquisition targets. That's a trading thing to do. Look for crypto projects that are delivering value that were barely above water because they couldn't afford the legal fees and they had to exclude all U.S. participation. That now they're not going to have to exclude U.S. participation. Those projects are going to fly. The ones that are making their money by Telegram groups, doing pump and dumps, probably not so much, because you could still they're still committing things that we in this country would regard as fraudulent and manipulative. And so there is going to be a gradual flight to quality in the world of crypto. This more or less guarantees it. I know I don't even call it my own book because I don't own much of this stuff. I have a very high-end portfolio, meaning, mostly in Bitcoin and Solana with a little bit of Ether. But the truth is, the flight to quality happens when you get a reasonable regulatory framework. Doesn't mean there isn't all sorts of craziness on the edges that you can take advantage with as traders. But it does mean that the long-term prospects of quality go up a lot. And so do your own research, find projects that you believe in, whether it's in DeepIn or it's in gaming or it's just open source, tools for people to use. All of those things are going to become possible. So yes, I'm very bullish, but no, I'm not giving alpha. That's where you can come in. Feel free to do the research and help people. I am not going to give investment advice to anybody other than to know what to focus on.
I mean, no, I love it. You do such a good job contextualizing such broad array of things. I think a lot of people come into crypto. The majority of people that I've seen up until January 11th of this year had little or no experience in financial markets at all, and it's been like this very accelerated learning curve. And a lot of people lose a lot of money and other people dive into education and don't lose as much. But you said something very important there, and you talked about price. Essentially, I'll contextualize it. Price has different incentives for different peoples at different levels. So whether it's at 100,000, that might not be incentive to me to sell. But if somebody bought at $6, They may be like, hey, I'm going to take a little off the table because now I want to go on a family vacation, pay for a wedding, whatever it is. There's different incentives that come up in life, and there's different incentives because of life's needs that is always going to create the market. In addition to that, 2013 or 2016 versus now, I think as we've gone on this bell curve of adoption and the risk matrix of Bitcoin, as it's becoming more entrenched in global markets, now we have risk mitigated players that are actively investing in trading. Whereas before, it's like, oh, I'll throw some money at this and maybe it'll go up. Oh, it's up, cool. But now it's like you have legacy hedge funds out there investing, corporations with money putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets. They're not just going to wait for a moonshot.
You're right. I don't think you know how right you are, Kelly. The company that I co-founded, that I'm stepping aside, and my son Ian is running CoinRoutes. We're an international company. We probably are the market leaders in providing trading algorithms. I told you that anyone listening to this can go. I'll provide a link, but you could also just go on crxterminal.com. That's that orange link up there, and you can sign up to join our wait list to be beta testers. But we are providing our institutional platform for free to retail active traders. And so we care about that. But what you don't know, and I'll tell you about it now, is one of the things we were exploring over the summer was potentially M&A, being acquired by a larger company so that we could really push this product out. We've decided that no, that's not going to happen. The company is going to raise some money and going to continue to build out. We're profitable. We're growing. That's all great. And I think people who use the product love it. So we have, it does very, very well for people. And I would say anyone who's actively trading derivatives mostly, but it's also spot on OKEX or Bybit or Deribit or HTX and others should give it a try. And it's free, and all you're going to do is trade better. So that's great. But what the point of the story is, we were talking about being acquired, and we talked to all the largest major financial firms based in the United States. And virtually every single one of them was effectively treating an acquisition of a crypto native company as radioactive. They didn't want to upset Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler, because there's so much harm that regulators can do to these companies. And so they treat it as radioactive. That is over. The FINRA and the SEC have had active applications from dozens of broker dealers since, believe it or not, 2018. So it goes back pre-Biden. It was under Trump. Jay Clayton froze them out too. None of those firms were allowed to offer crypto trading services. They all had to put them in non-broker dealers. You saw, I was talking with Dan Gallagher from Robinhood about this, and they had no choice. And Dan, would be awesome. He's a tremendous, he was a tremendous SEC commissioner. He's a tremendous lawyer and a great guy. He supposedly is on the short list to run the SEC. Look, that would be awesome. There are lots of people who've been floated. That would be great. But the point is, Robinhood had to put their crypto trading in a non-broker dealer affiliate. That sounds like legalese. It isn't. It means that the entire brokerage structure where most Americans have their wealth is going to open up to being able to invest in crypto over the next couple of years.
Hold on. I got to pause you. I got to pause you right there, because I think that's the juiciest nugget of information of everything coming out of this new election and what this new administration is ushering in. Say that again. What does that mean now that we can have a broker dealer?
You can buy Bitcoin in an ETF wrapper, and you can pay a management fee, etc. You can't buy Solana and self-custody it through a broker dealer. You can go on Coinbase and buy it, who until hopefully tomorrow, but probably January 20th, is still under suit by the SEC. And there are many, many, many people who will not invest in companies that are under active lawsuit by the chief financial regulator. Don't underestimate that. That's not a small deal. But what will happen is FINRA, which is the financial industries regulator, the self-regulatory organization that all broker dealers, has stonewalled every single broker dealer application to offer services to trade what are crypto as non-securities. That is going to stop. The next SEC chair is going to reverse that policy with absolute certainty. That means that every single broker dealer that wants to be able to offer crypto trading on Coinbase, on Kraken, on exchanges like that, Gemini, etc., will be able to. That means that people are going to be able to have accounts that can move back and forth between them, right, by signed agreements. Now, they're going to need some regulations for that, some executive orders, just like if you have a futures account at a broker dealer, you can move the money back and forth with your trading account, with your stock account. It's not trivial. You do have to sign extra paperwork, but it's done. I just took the Series 3 over the summer in preparation for this, because you need to be able to trade both derivative, futures and stocks. I had done all the other stuff. But that means that the entire, not just ETFs, but the entire broker-dealer community is going to end up having to offer crypto in the same way they have to offer futures trading. You can't, how many broker-dealers don't offer their high-end clients the ability to trade financial futures? Most do. And it's going to be the same. That is a non-trivial thing, Kelly. And that will increase the adoption rate. Yes, most people in their retirement accounts are going to want to use the ETFs. I got that. But in their non-retirement accounts, their discretionary accounts, I think you're going to see a major change. And that is another very big deal.
I mean, I keep thinking that I'm not bullish enough. And over this last year, it's been surprising. You must feel the same way. We could kind of see it. Maybe we were hoping, maybe it was bias. But I would say every week, there's been at least 3 things that's like, what's possible now? And there's 340 things now over this last year that's why I think you nailed it. You hit the nail on the head earlier. We had to buy the rumor and hold the news, because we have such a backlog of bullishness that is buoying. It's not even just like a base. We're in an entire new epoch. We had January 11th. And now we have the Trump administration coming in, which ushers in the entirely different framework for which all these different products, services, utilities, however you want to classify each one of these digital assets, can be accessed and capital flow to come into them.
Let me give you a simple analogy the way I look at it. First of all, I think Bitcoin at this point is a generational opportunity. It is unbelievably crazy sounding to my own ears to say that an asset at its all-time high is undervalued more today than it was yesterday, and certainly more today than it was a year or two ago. And I really believe that that's true. So let me explain. And it's not just that. If you believe that the chance that Bitcoin is going to become digital gold and beyond, as Michael Saylor talks about, I'd say that the odds of that have to be somewhere close. In my own mind, it's like 50%. The market is pricing it at 5%. How often, even in poker with pocket aces, getting a chance to shove in all in pre-flop, even then, these odds are better. They are literally better. And so, yeah, I don't know how you could be more bullish than that. So it's crazy. But let me give you a different analogy that has nothing to do with Bitcoin. What is the ultimate promise of crypto, Kelly? The ultimate promise of crypto is democratized finance. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know who you're telling me. I haven't moved. Is my camera? Should I move my
No,
camera?
I was as you're talking, I was pointing to the Bitcoin sign on my wall.
Oh. So yeah, but so what do we mean by democratized finance? Well, what is the ultimate promise of all crypto projects? The ultimate promise is incentivize developers, incentivize users to build a community to come together and build something, right? Think of what happened, how the world was changed because Linus Torvalds was a mad genius and a bunch of geeks decided not to try to make money at it, just to build. And they built the operating system that runs the world's computers. Now imagine you take the ability of open source, global open source, and you create a method to incentivize all of that development. That's the promise of crypto. It is a very, very, Thomas Friedman-esque kind of argument, but it is an argument that basically points to a radical change, as radical as AI in many respects, in terms of reshaping the way things get built and developed in this world. And I think that is now on the table because our regulations in the US being written 70, 80, 90 years ago, the Supreme Court case was 37? I don't remember the exact years, but a long time before computers existed. We're holding back that promise. And now almost certainly that won't be the case. So to me, that I don't know how I can be more bullish in the long term, but as a trader, that doesn't mean lever up and get washed out. That means research, find products and projects of value, invest accordingly. And sure, you want to speculate on the margin, just be careful and understand what you're speculating on.
Again, I don't think I could be more bullish. And I'm so bullish that I try to just risk mitigate. One thing I've done this cycle that has really changed the game for me, and I'm a lot less stressed, is I think I was trying to play catch up too much in the last 2 cycles. I mean, I got up to $100,000 spot trading and thought I was a god because I was trading in a basically secular bull market that was just and then I levered up and lost almost all of it in 2 trades. In the second cycle, I was a bit more mitigated. This one, I think I have under 5% of my portfolio for crypto I have in a trading account. And I don't trade it all either, but it's I compartmentalize so I can put boundaries on myself because I know how I can act in a market. So, okay, you want to play with that here. Even if you wreck that trading account, you're still fine.
Look, Kelly, markets humble all of us. In the last bull run, I remember when Bitcoin was dropping from the all-time highs into the 30s, I thought I was really smart. I thought Michael Saylor was a giga chad and was going to be absolutely right. And I over-levered one of my accounts that got liquidated. Absolutely happens. Now, the truth is that I compartmentalized it. So I lost what was at its height, 25% of actually may have gone as high as 40% because it was just crazily high. And I overlevered it and I lost it. But it started as 10% of my portfolio, and I lost 10% of my portfolio. Considering that, where I am, I'm not terribly complaining right now and everything's fine. There is money to be made by disciplined, structured trading, quantitative-based trading, where you sweat the details, where you don't overpay when you're buying and selling, when you understand the transaction cost to get in and out, when you have signals, and there are lots of good signals out there. I'm sure you guys have a lot. I know Scott Melker and his play has a bunch of partners who have good signals. There's lots of good signals, and there's lots of noise. And the real expert traders are the ones who can filter the signal from the noise and don't throw away money as they're doing it. So yes, you can make money trading. For the average human being, you make your money investing. And that is, it is extremely important to know which you are. And what I can tell you is there are lots of really crass jokes. But one of the crassest, and I won't use the full metaphor because I'm not going to keep it, I'm going to try to keep this PG. But if you want to get effed, the worst thing you can do is turn a trade into a long-term investment without any change of information. I bought it on a trade. I didn't know anything about the fundamentals. It started dropping, and I'm like, well, now it's cheap, so I'm going to hold it. Generally, that is the worst thing you can do for a portfolio, right? Because you end up with buying and letting your losers run, and you're cutting your winners, and it should be the opposite. And so there's lots to unpack here. You can go through lots of it, but the thing to take away from this conversation is the world is a different place today. Innovation and creation of value will be rewarded in a way that it wasn't being rewarded in the United States, which matters, being 40 some odd % of the world's investable wealth. That is the biggest change. And honestly, there's a lot of growing up to do in the crypto markets. And, I'm thankful for people like you to help make it grow up. And that's why I'm always willing to come on and talk.
Well, I appreciate you, Dave. I mean, what a great I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to have to cut this into some shorts, and I might even release a clip of this over there on a roundtable, because this was what a great conversation, and always unpacking different parts. It's like, okay, we got a new president. Well, I was telling people at the beginning of this stream, I said, let's put politics aside entirely. As an investor, what does this potentially mean, and what different ways will it impact sentiment of major players, of retail? And this is exactly what you did. You helped us unpack that. Dave, I appreciate you. I pulled up your page here at CoinRoutes.com. If anybody wants to look into this, is there anywhere else other people can find you other than, of course, your Twitter page at Dave Weisberger 1?
Dave Weisberger 1 at Twitter, and stay tuned. There will be something else that will be announced within the next month that I will be doing. But right now the big thing is the crxterminal.com. CRX as in C as in CoinRoutes, R as in routes, X as in xylophone or expert, the second letter, terminal.com. That is where you could sign up to be a beta tester, and it will go to general release early in the new year.
Well, I appreciate it so much, and I love seeing what you're working on, and I'm happy I can help get you out in front of people and do my part also. My main goal is to bring meaningful tools, content, resources, and people so people don't step in the same stupid potholes I did. That's our number one plague as humans. There's so many people to learn from, but some reason we all need to hit our head on the wall rather than stepping under it because somebody told us it was there. So I appreciate you. We'll wrap it up because I know we both got a lot of things going on. Big love to you, my friend, and I'll see you again in the next one.
Take care, sir. Ciao.
You too, my friend. Bye-bye. Everybody, how wonderful, how absolutely wonderful was Dave. There's so much great information that he shared. I mean, you can tell when somebody's had decades of experience. And I mean, with Dave Weisberger, you could tell when somebody's had decades worth of experience in global markets, understanding Bitcoin, crypto, the implications of this new administration. Again, whether you like the new administration that was voted in or not, think of it as an investor. We're in here talking about crypto. We're talking about markets. We're talking about changing our lives through investments and how we can help our other people in our lives and have more free time. In this case, when we're talking about Bitcoin almost explicitly and specifically, and then also the broader crypto market and development and the empowerment of that development rather than repression and just regulation by enforcement that we've seen over the last 4 years. This was a tipping point, I think, for Bitcoin. This was the tipping point for crypto and altcoins and the development of the space and the amount of liquidity that is essentially was hindered and limited coming from the US and also being able to pour in and support that development now is getting opened up and we'll likely see. And we have so much green ahead of us in this market. So I just want you all to stay present in this market. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. Even right now, how we just broke and past previous all-time highs, and we're sitting here consolidating. We may get a little bit of a pullback. That does not mean it's not bullish. We have the most bullish case that we've ever had in the history of this market. And with that, I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. Let me go ahead and take that off right there. Sorry, I just want to have to not edit this again. And with that, thank you all for tuning again. God damn it. These edits. There you go. And with that, thank you all for tuning in. My name's Kelly Kellum here with BitLab Academy, contributing content creator for the street at Roundtable. I hope you all have a wonderful day. These markets are going to leave a lot of people behind. So the question is, what are you doing about it? We're here to keep you on the right side of the trend. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. That's all we got. And I'll see you in the next video. Adios.